Hello everyone, welcome to my very small YouTube channel about knitting. My name is Isabelle, I am in France, I have 3 sons and I have 3 cats. Some have said it's related. And I'm filming these videos in English because I miss my English very much. I used to live in the United States over 32 years ago and I don't have that many opportunities to be talking in English. So you are my own excuse and opportunity to do so about once a week. Today it's going to be a video about, once again, about my Yarn by Year project. You have seen one video last week about my expenses and the list I have to handle my urge to spend on patterns. And so which yarn did I buy and how I handle my urge not to buy too much yarn and not to buy too much patterns. Today it's going to be one category I've never talked about because when I went to visit the mohair farm, and I will attach here the video and I will link it down below, and when I bought this beautiful mohair that I love, I felt a huge pressure, a huge urge, a huge desire to be buying plenty of yarn, and most of the time, or for yarn I do not have in stash. And this was my train of thoughts. I don't have this and I want to buy that because I don't have it in stash and it won't double. So if that kind of project and that kind of thinking and the way I manage not to spend too much money on my craft is of some interest to you, and if my English hesitations and mistakes do not bother you too much, and Peluche is making a lot of noise now, please stay tuned. So first, what am I wearing? One of the beloved sweater, you're gonna be sick of me saying it's my beloved this or my beloved that. They all are, and I wear them all of the time or as much as I can whenever it's fitting the weather, and the weather today is not very nice. It's my Laurenson sweater by Lily Kate France, and I knit it with cocoon yarn that I bought it in the Netherlands and the store closed, and so you can get cocoon yarn from other retailers, and it's the iron weight, the blue and speckled iron weight colorway. It's tie-dye, it's called, yeah, the store was yarns, that's what I was looking for, and she closed her store a year, something like that ago, and I do really like the feeling of a starry night that this yarn is giving. And I have to say that I got the inspiration by Jackie from Caddy Jack's Knits, who knits this pattern with the same yarn. So I've knit that pattern once again with the yellow mohair I got in the Pyrenees in the summertime a few summers ago. And what I like is the puffy sleeves. What I liked is the puffy sleeves and the side details. I have to say, wearing it and everything, puffy sleeves I love, but they are not quite convenient to be wearing under a coat or a jacket or something. They are too bulky. So you have to be thinking about that if you decide to make a sweater with puffy sleeves. Okay, when I was buying the mohair and I was spending money, the whole thing came back all of a sudden very strongly, and saying I want to buy yarn, I want to buy that category that I do not have in my stash, because of course when I do have some of this category of yarn I want to be knitting with in my stash, I don't feel much of the urge to buy because I do have in my hands somewhere in my house, maybe not the correct color, but I can arrange, I can, whatever. I'm not that much feeling the urge to buy yarn I already, the category of yarn I already own, even if it's not the color I would like. I can wait. That I don't I don't have that many urges. But there are 4 categories that are itching me to buy so much that I decided to make it into a video and talk about it. And I hope with this type of way to be talking about it and sharing with you is going to be lowering a bit my urge to buy. Because one thing I have noticed, it's like with eating or any kind of where you have to overdo things, overeat, overspend, over exercise, over whatever. If you calm down and think about it and live through it for a bit, and the bit is going to be depending on you, it's going to be minutes or weeks or months, the urge can lower. I know that, and it's very difficult for me right now to resist that urge to be buying one, silk, and if possible, cruelty-free silk. And I will explain to you just in a bit why cruelty-free silk. Next category is unspun yarn. Unspun yarn has been the big hit of the last year or so in my opinion. So I want to be knitting with unspun yarn. I want to be knitting with linen, and I want to be knitting with what I've called the spin cycle type of yarn, the dye in the wool, the self color changing yarn, the one that you see in these beautiful shawls or sweaters, cardigans, and that many people are making, and these gradients that are come on a short series, come quite often as you knit, or with a longer color change. I've always loved that, and these 4 categories are really pushing me into buying them, and so far I haven't. Okay, so the first category to me is silk. I haven't knit. I did knit with some silk in the past, but I haven't knit recently with raw silk or 100% silk. And when I went to the fair or the event with my mother last year, where I bought these Len Select, these 2 skeins, she had silk. Since then, I've been willing to be buying silk, to be knitting. She had beautiful scarves, very drapey, and this kind of light silk has is very appealing to me right now, and quite of a luxury too. And yes, so since then I've been willing to be knitting with silk. I know how silk is made, and if you do not, maybe have a look for yourself how silk is made. What I call cruelty-free silk, what I would be knitting with cruelty-free silk, is when the most of the time it's mulberry silk. So the insects, the larvae that make the cocoon around themselves and in all their environment, cruelty-free silk is harvested when the moth has come out of the cocoon and has escaped and lived their own life. Non-cruelty-free silk is harvested when the larvae and the insect, the animal, is already still in the cocoon. And to me, having to boil alive all these insects, of course, they are only insects, but I can't stand this idea. It's just me. Maybe you feel comfortable with that, but I do not. And I've been looking for suppliers of cruelty-free silk, and I found a few, and I have to say, and I will link her video down below. I'm not sure I got her first name. Her channel is We Grow Wild. She's from Italy. And she has a whole series, I think it's 4 videos, about Silky Way, what is called the Silky Way series, where she talks about her journey into finding at least on the one video I'm going to be linking down, cruelty-free silk. I had been looking around quite a bit, and I have to say that her video is a good resource, and as I've some of her links are not working, so I did my own research on top of hers, but I started with hers, and she has a database that she makes available on Google Docs. So I will link the video down below, and I have to say it's quite informative, and you may want to have listen to what she has to say, maybe subscribe to her channel too. She has quite a bit of a subscribers, so she most probably does not need my own push to her channel. But anyway, I've been using her video and her brand names to find some of the cruelty-free silk that she was talking about, and find links that work to be offering them to you. So the first, no particular order, is the first one is Knitting for Olive. Knitting for Olive has pure silk that they carry, and they say it's cruelty-free. They do talk about the way the silk is harvested, and they do say that the butterfly on the label, and I'm quoting their own page, indicates that the chrysalids were allowed to evolve into butterflies, thereby allowing them to complete their life cycle. So that means the moth or the larvae are not killed when harvesting this silk. The silk comes in 25 different colors, so that's quite an extended range, and it's fingering weight, 250 meters per 50 grams, and 28 stitches gauge, recommended 28 stitches gauge with 3mm needle. It's not a lace weight silk, it's a fingering weight, fingering weight silk. Yes, I'm quite considering in that one, because I'm gonna be linking only to companies or makers, because there is one BC Garn, for example, that you can have retailers close by to you, and I do encourage you, and this is what also I want to be doing, is buying yarn. If I do buy online, is yarn that is local could be the whole Europe, local to me. So so that's the first one. So as I was talking about, this is the one I'm going to be mentioning now. It's BC Garn Jaipur Piece Silk. So they say that it's not mulberry silk, it's another type of larvae that they are using. Airy silkworms, they say. So they say that these larvae live on manioc plants, and it comes from Thailand. And also, they also mentioned the fact that the larvae are allowed to go through all the transformation process and escape the cocoon before the silk harvested. So this silk is 300 meters per 50 grams, so it's much lighter weight than the Knitting for Olive, for example. 24 stitch gauge with 2 or 3mm needles, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 42 different colors. So once again, a lot of colors to choose from. A retailer that you can find next or close to you that can sell BC Garn yarns. So that was my second yarn I spotted on. The third producer of cruelty-free silk is an Italian company that is Campolmi Filati. I'm very sorry, I do not speak Italian or Spanish or any. It's silk bourrette. So bourrette in French means raw silk, so it's 100% silk. It's also cruelty-free. It's 100 cones of 480 meters. So what they say is the worm isn't steamed, but is expected to have come out of the cocoon. So expected, I'm not sure. There are samples that are made to be verifying the butterfly has escaped or not. Anyway, that is the third company that they claim is cruelty-free. So I think, they can't claim it if it can be verified. And it's local to me. It may not be local to you, but anyway. So what I haven't mentioned is that the knitting for olive is €7.50 per 250 meters, so that's 50 grams. The silk bourrette by Campolimi Filati, is €8.30 for 100 grams. And of course, the BC garn, the price is going to be depending on where you are buying it from, the local retailer. So that's the first category I was wanting to be knitting from and buying yarn or silk from. And now I feel quite at ease that I have found local retailers for that category, but that doesn't lower much the urge for me to be buying it. And I hope this can fade away. Okay, the next category of yarn I really want to buy and be knitting with is unspun yarn. Unspun yarn has gotten a lot of traction in the social media for the last year and a half, or maybe a bit more than that, because many YouTubers and people on Instagram are knitting with Nutiden yarn. Nutiden yarn, so it's pre-wool, it's unspun wool. It comes in a fingering weight most of the time, or sometimes it can be 2 threads bundled in DK weight, for example. Nutiden yarn has a way to be distributed. It's their choice, but I'm a bit uncomfortable with that. You have to be part of a closed group. Their Patreon is here, so you have to pay to be part of a closed group. And you have, of course, to pay for the yarn, and people in the closed group have access to buying the yarn before normal people outside of the group, and most of the time everything is sold out before it goes to the general public. It's their choice, their economical model, it's their choice. They are very, very welcome to be doing whatever they want with their production, but I'm a bit uncomfortable with that. I'm not quite sure I'm comfortable with being part of an elite or chosen group. Why not me? Why not you? Why should I pay to be part of that chosen group? So even if their own economical model, and they are more than welcome to be doing whatever they want. And if it's fine to you, it's fine to you. Once again, you do you. I'm not that easy with their model. Anyway, so I was not looking for other kind of yarn because I kind of thought that Nutiden was the only one. Even if in the back of my mind I knew that there were some other unspun yarn in the Northern Europe countries, that the Lopis yarn that were present, but I did not quite look into it and everything. One person I want to be talking about that brought me into the Manche Lopis yarn is Making Story. So it's Anna Luisa, I think, from Making Story. What's her name? I'm not sure I recall. Hannah Lisa, okay. From Making Stories, who talked about Manche Lopis. Manche Lopis is an unspun yarn that is manufactured in Spain, with ship from Spain. And of course, Nutiden is shipped from the northern part of Europe. And there is a whole process that I like. It's just the economical model that they chose that I do not like. Anyway, Manche Lopis is now also selling in Europe, in close close to me unspun wool. The difference between Nutiden and Mancelopes, I'm sure it's between the softness of the yarn. I'm most probably certain of that. And also the fact that Mancelopes comes in plates that are with 2 threads together. So you can use the 2 threads at once to be knitting, or just knit with one of the threads, but you have to unravel the plate. So Mancelopes on Making Stories is, so they are in Germany, so they are also close by to me. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different colors. Some of them are available, some of them are not, but you have to go to their website and check if they are available or not. And when I was looking for Mancelopes, I discovered, and I did not know that La Bien-Aimée is also selling Mancelopes. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The same 11, I guess. Type of colors that can be very subdued. This is what I like also with Nutiden, is the depth of the color that the Honker family makes. That you can't find anywhere else. But the Mancelopes also kind of offers different levels of dyes in the wool, or it's not dye in the wool, but different type of colors in the wool, that the wool hasn't caught the dye all the same all the way. Most of the time it's only one colorway, with the main color, green, pink, or blue, or whatever, or gray, on a clear base, and you can see some of the part of the yarn has dyes, some has not, and I like that very much. So they are both selling at the same price, €8 and 50 cents per plate, each plate being 100 grams, and it's 460 meters. If it's single, so it's 230 meters with both threads together. So I guess it's exactly the same kind of yarn. So if one color is not available at Making Stories, maybe it's available at La Bien-Aimée if you are in Europe. And if you're not in Europe, there are many retailers that are now offering Mancelopes. So after I found Mancelopes, my urge to be knitting with unspun yarn has increased once again, because I do not have any in my stash. I have never been knitting with that type of yarn, and I'm very, very, very curious to be knitting with that. In a way, going to Cotentin and getting my wool from Normandy it's not unspun yarn, it's spun yarn, but it was in a way to be getting that type of yarn that is a bit more rustic, a bit less processed. And this is what attracts me very much to unspun yarn. So yeah, that was the second category that I'm urging to buy, that is urging me and saying buy me right now. So the third category of yarn or thread fiber that is appealing to me right now is the linen. This urge is quite recent because I have a lot of cotton, so I have a lot of plant-based yarn or fiber in my stash that my mother gave me, so I can knit with that. I do not have any linen, but I do have other plant-based fiber for the summer knitting. And I did self-urge me to buy that yarn when I did Woolly News video. I will link it here. I'm not sure I recall when. It was quite a recent one. And when I talked about Antigone, the linen by Derehom Natura, that was back online and they could produce the yarn again. Antigone is a linen thread that is without any pesticides, and it's made in Normandy. Or at least flax is grown in Normandy. So there are, I'm not sure I recall how many colorways there are, but a lot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I would say 21 different colors. And so it's 100% organic linen produced in France. It's 200 meters per 100 grams, 22 stitches, gauge 3 millimeter needles, so it's about a finger in weight once again, and many beautiful colorways with that also that very shiny type of effect that linen has and silk has that is very appealing to me. And I did also suggest to myself that I wanted to be knitting with that when I talked about Antigone. So there are many different type of linen that you can most probably find next to you. Maybe not organic linen, but I think organic linen and organic processes are the one I want to be favoring for myself. And each time I see in my feed, mostly Instagram feed, that Derrière Natura is talking about Antigone or other people are knitting with Antigone, it just, there is that kind of volcano inside of me that goes out and say, oh, I want to be knitting with that. So yeah, organic linen is the third one on my list. Okay, the last category I wanted to be talking about is spin cycle type of yarn, the dye-in-the-wool type of yarn that they carry that is very famous. It's made in the USA, from USA ship. Everything, you know, all of that is fine, but it's very far away from me, and I do love the way this yarn is knitted by other people in their different projects. There are many different patterns that are being made with that type of yarn that has self-changing colors, and the association that they choose is very unique. Each skein is kind of unique, and the way it looks once knitted is really appealing to me. I spent a lot of time trying to find locally produced or European produced type, something that looks like dye-in-the-wool by Spin Cycle. I haven't. If you do know of somewhere that is produced in a European producer that makes such type of yarn, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm very interested. Not that I want to be buying it right now, of course, but I'm very interested into knowing, because I did not find any. I found people who sell spin cycle yarn. Yes, you can buy it in Europe, of course, from a European retailer, but it's shipped from across, not across the world, but over the Atlantic Ocean to me. It's quite a long trip, and the carbon footprint and everything is not what I prefer to be doing or to be spending my money on. There are big commercial brands, Hobby, Bergère de France, and some others. You can also find some of that yarn that looks like that on Amazon. I would rather not buy from these kind of big companies. I'm not sure how the yarn is produced. I'm not sure how the ship and the people who make the yarn are treated. I'm not sure where it's made. It can be made across the world. And so that's the case for the silk, you're going to be telling me. Yes, that's the case for the silk. But I'm really not sure with these companies that produce similar type of yarn, how it's made, where it's coming from, which kind of process are used. Are they damaging the environment, or are they environmental friendly? And as they don't state anything really, you have to think it's not environmental friendly type of process. So I'd rather not be buying from these big companies. And I haven't found anything made in Europe, produced in Europe, that looks like spin cycle dye-in-the-wool. So maybe one day, if I decide I have knit all of my stash and I decide I want to be knitting with that type of yarn, I will have to buy from a European retailer, but from this American producer, US producer, because I could not find any made in Europe. If it's the only place in the world where not indie dyer but some small company that source their product and describe their processes only in the USA, so be it, and maybe one day I'll buy from there. I'll go over my own limits and decide I will buy from across the world. Why not? But for the moment, I haven't found any in Europe. So if you do know, please comment down below and please let me know if you know of any and if you've bought any yarn of that type of look from Europe. Okay, so that's gonna be it for today. Has it lowered my urge to be buying yarn? No. Maybe I hope it will help me lowering that urge, because I'm not going to be buying any of that. My first thought when I want to be buying these 4 type of yarn that I do not have in my stash is no, you don't. It's very difficult. I'm very, very, very tempted, and it comes back, not every day of course, but it comes back, whenever I think about it. And I hope that talking about it openly will help me lower that urge and will have me wait with a little bit of lighter spirit, that I need all of my stash and I can buy yarn again online, for example, or not only from places I visit. And so it's all part of my process. You know, I never was in a difficult financial situation when I did buy too much of yarn. And we are in my second year. This is the second year I'm having this project, so a year and not quite a half. And I haven't knit all of my stash in more than a year and a half. So, and yarn has come to me. People have given me, gifted me with yarn, either for my birthday, for the occasions, my kids for Christmas or something. Yarn, and some of you have sent yarn to me. Yarn has come my way. And at least my project has helped me understand that the fear of missing out, the FOMO thing, is something I should not listen to. Because yarn comes my way and suppliers are still, producing yarn, and maybe not that one that I was wanting to be buying, but maybe another one of a similar kind, of different properties or whatever. I will always be able to buy yarn to be knitting whenever I want to buy it. Yes, these urges to buy these yarn that I do not own are very strong right now, and I thank you very much for being here with me in that type of project. I hope it helps you too if you are undergoing the same kind of project. Please share down below how you've been doing, and what are your own urges and your own kryptonite right now. And yes, I thank you very much for being here with me for all of this time. I do hope that these videos are bringing you as much joy and happiness as they are bringing me filming them, that every little stitch that you are knitting every day is a little spark of joy and happiness. And please remember that we can always knit our feelings out, and that our craft is one way to cope with all the darkness that might be surrounding us. And even if we don't see it, there is light, and maybe these little stitches can be a piece of light about every day into your life. And yeah, I thank you very much for being here with me, and I will see you next time.